So I had one other idea, something I could talk about today, and that was the kind of the concept of getting unstuck. Because I'm sure some of you, or especially getting unstuck from the spiritual path or from kind of life also. So I'm sure many of you have experienced that sensation when you feel like you're in a place for your life in your life where you don't want to be and you just feel stuck, like you're not living up to your whole potential, you're not doing what you're meant to be doing. And so I wanted to, there's some reflections on that based on my experiences. So the last 2 summers, I lucked into a weekend job as a whitewater rafting guide in Wisconsin on the Peshtigo River. It's like class 2, 3 rapids, so not real crazy big river, not really huge rapids, but big enough. And it was a lot of fun. It was so I got to just go down the river a whole lot. Like usually three runs on Saturday and 2 runs on Sunday. So I really got to know the river, got to know, get a feel for the currents and how the river flows. And it's interesting sometimes. I don't know if any of you have been in rapids too much, but you've probably noticed or heard about. Oftentimes, right around big rapids, there will be little eddies that form, and so sometimes they can be small and really turbulent, and you can get stuck in those. Like there's like a little almost wave or a little circular whirlpool type thing, and a boat can get stuck in there. And uh, lots of times when we were doing this, everyone was in little one-person inflatable kayaks called funyaks, and so the customers are on their own usually, and so sometimes they would get stuck in these eddies, and it can be really disorienting because it's swirling around, and so your boat's swirling around, and there's water splashing in your face, and they're bouncing around inside the boat, and so it's possible, even though in the midst of all this great energy and great chaos and all this flow, all this current, um, you can get stuck sometimes, and it feels you don't feel like, I mean, it still feels like something's happening because there's all this motion going on, but you're not really moving anywhere. And like I said, it's really disorienting, and you can feel like you don't know what to do. And so sometimes in those situations, what you need to do is kind of stop fighting so much and just take stock of where you are and realize where you need to go. 'Cause lots of times in those cases, when someone gets stuck, you kind of just need to make a few hard paddles and put in some hard effort to get out of it, and then you're back in the current. But it can take some effort. It can take a lot of effort, and it can be scary, like you're saying, Tim, because you don't know what you're doing. It feels like you're all out of control, and so it can be scary. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of strong effort, and it can be, it can feel like a struggle. It can feel like uh, you even have to kind of go against the flow a little bit or across the flow in order to get back into the flow. And so this is all very metaphorical. Um, so one example from my life, this past summer when I came home early from Costa Rica, and I was staying with my mom and next door to my sister in Wisconsin, and COVID was going on, and just everything, and I was kind of feeling stuck there, and I almost didn't come to the yoga teacher training. I'd actually made up my mind I wasn't going to come because the fires were going on, and it just didn't seem like it seemed crazy to like be driving across the U.S. at this point. So I'd actually made up my mind not to go, and I sent an email to Amanda saying if there's anything we can do, and then they both called me, which was really cool. And they didn't pressure me, they didn't try to talk me into it or anything, but they just told me to listen to my heart and do what I thought was right. And even though it didn't make sense, there was still this little voice in my heart telling me that um, it would be a good idea to go to the teacher training. So yeah, so I don't know if any of you have experienced that, or if you at some point in the future, if you experience that stuck sensation where you're not sure what to do and you just feel totally out of sorts, that's when you really got to listen to your heart to figure out the way forward. And sometimes it can take a lot of effort. And when I was so when I was trying to leave Wisconsin, it just felt like there were all these obstacles, especially because that's when I got the RV, and there's just all this hard. It seemed like it was obstacle after obstacle trying to get out of there, and I was like, "Am I doing the wrong thing? Are these obstacles telling me that I shouldn't go?" Um, but I just kind of kept listening to my heart, and then encouragement from Nick and Amanda was like really, really helpful. I was really amazed that they took that time to call me like that. And so, yeah, so I just wanted to talk about that idea of getting stuck and how sometimes getting unstuck can take a lot of effort and it can be scary. But if you're tuned into your heart, you can usually find your way out of those situations. So